Hello viewers, I've just got a PS5 Pro. Let's see if it's worth the money. So let's begin with the unboxing of the PS5 Pro to see what we get inside and to see how the console looks. And once I got it out of the wrapper, I must say it looks really rather sleek and elegant. But as for the equipment, well, quite minimalistic. Charging cable, power cable and HDMI with a controller. And taking a look at the console itself, I think it looks great. And it's not too heavy either, in fact definitely lighter than the PS5. On the front we have the power button, two Type-C ports, and on the other side you have the power cable port, two USB ports, an Ethernet port and HDMI. So alongside the PS5 on the left, you can see there is a slight difference, definitely slightly smaller overall and actually a lot lighter as well. So physically I would say it's a step up. So physically we can see that the PS5 Pro I think looks a little bit better. The missing disc tray can be a problem, which we'll get to later. But of course the main thing here is how does the PS5 Pro actually play? So when this console came out there is something called PS5 Pro Enhanced. So naturally those games are going to be a much better version compared to the normal PS5 version. And here's a full list of the 50 plus games. Now unfortunately for us Gran Turismo 7 fans, Gran Turismo 7 is not on this list. However, Polyphony are targeting a release this month for the enhanced version of the game. So I think it's important to note that I am playing here on the PS5 Pro before the enhanced update. So let's jump into a bit of Gran Turismo 7. In fact, actually, let's take a look at the home screen, which you get a different version of the home screen here. But if you jump into GT7, now immediately as you jump in, you can feel that the movement in the menus is quicker. Even just going from this screen to this screen is a lot quicker. It just transitions just slightly faster, nothing crazy, but it is slightly noticeable. Even the menu does look pretty sharp. It's hard to tell the difference. It's going to be such a minimal difference here in terms of the visual quality. But I do sense there's a slight improvement in just the vibrancy of it. And then of course the speed at which you can move around. It just feels a little bit sharper. When you load into the garage, there is a bit of a pause. That doesn't seem to be much different, to be honest, compared to the normal PS5. But definitely on this screen here, loading through the cars, this feels a lot faster as well. So there's definitely a speed increase. There's no question about that. The menus feel a lot more fluid. Okay, let's jump in and see what we think in some actual gameplay. As we head through the first couple of corners here, it doesn't look immediately different to me. So maybe the detail, actually, you know what, the lighting I do think might be slightly better. So I continued playing to try to determine what the actual differences were here compared to the basic PS5 version of this game. And the more I went around the track, the more I realized I think the lighting is a step up. Nothing outrageously game changing, but I do think there is an improvement there. I must say that I'm using the same settings as I would normally use on the PS5. I did not change anything else, so it's a fair direct comparison. But that would be my main takeaway. Lighting is better, graphics are slightly better, but I wouldn't say it's a massive difference, to be honest. So a little bit of gameplay there, but I think the detail on the car does look a bit sharper in my mind. And you know what, if there is a difference for me, it's the lighting. I think the lighting just looks a little bit more vibrant, but to be honest I think we need this enhanced update to really tell like the proper difference. I do like the look of this though. It does look spectacular. Gran Turismo, as ever, has always looked great, but I think on the Pro, you're really maximizing this. Enhanced, I really hope would take this to another level. Now I wanted to run a test between the two consoles to see which one loads up quicker. I mean, the Pro should load up quicker theoretically. The test is to load up the game from the home screen and then to go into the garage as quickly as possible. Now already the Pro has gone into these cutscenes quicker. I am just mashing the skip button, so there isn't really any difference there. And then already into the home screen and then into the garage, which loads in 25.5 seconds. There we go. And roughly 10 seconds later, the PS5 does load into the same point, as you can see. So about 10 seconds difference, so there's definitely a difference. There's no question about that. As we then move into a slightly different test here, which is to load a Nürburgring race with the same settings with some rainy conditions at night. And they actually both load at pretty much the same speed. In fact, PS5 Pro loaded slower, but I think that was because I pressed the button a bit slower. So I wouldn't say there's really any difference there, but certainly loading the game, there was a difference. And now we can take a look at the sort of graphical differences here between the two versions of the game. Just to note that the PS5 Pro and the PS5 are being played in exactly the same equivalent settings. That would be the ray tracing mode, and then in the settings menu, the PlayStation settings menu, everything there is the same as well. And as we zoom in, you can see that, well, in fact it's hard to see the difference. I'm not sure I can really see too much difference here as we zoom in and just have a look at the detail a little bit closer up. So I would have thought that this would be an amazing place to really test the difference in the rain at night, but I honestly didn't see too much difference. I would say that it ran a bit smoother maybe, and it loaded at the same speed, but other than that, not much difference to note of. We then have another comparison here at Catalonia, and again, nothing hugely stands out as being totally different here. As we zoom in, I mean, you tell me what the difference is. I can't really tell too much of a difference here. So I think the thing I was saying earlier about the lighting being better, it might almost be circuit dependent or something like that. But certainly here, I didn't really notice much of an improvement. And I'm going to change it to prioritize frame rate and see how this works. And actually, immediately as we load in, I can feel that it's quicker. I can feel that it's sharper. So it definitely does make a difference to put it onto frame rate compared to ray tracing. Now, I think the ray tracing thing is quite interesting because with the enhanced update, that is something that you should be able to get within the races, as opposed to only replays. So I think this enhanced update truly is what we have to wait for. And I think actually playing this feels like the better option in my mind. I don't think the graphics look worse, but it does feel a bit sharper. Feels like the frame rate is actually a bit faster than it was just a moment ago, as I suppose it should be. What I would say though is it's quite hard to see, but when you look at the rain coming off the cars in front, especially about this distance, look at that red car that's in 7th. I don't know how to describe it, but sometimes it looks quite pixelated, some of the rain coming off the car in front. So I wouldn't say it's perfect. Maybe about this distance you can see it's not perfection. And obviously, you know, YouTube and the way I'm recording this and everything isn't going to show it exactly as I'm seeing it, but for the most part, you know, I'm being fussy there. This does look great, and Gran Turismo always has done. And yeah, no issues here regarding like frame rate drops. It seems to be running smoothly throughout, and this is about as testing as the game will be. 20 cars around Nürburgring with dynamic weather at night, rain. Doesn't really get much more taxing than this, I suppose, on the console, except perhaps if you are going to go into VR. Now, VR, I think, is something that a lot of people are going to be interested in. I want to see if this is better on this console or not. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into a race here at Monza and see how this looks. I think the main thing is just to determine, is this better? Is this clearer than PS5? Is this a step up? To be honest, I think just like PS5 to PS5 Pro for just playing the game normally on a screen, the difference is there. I mean, it's nothing game changing, it's nothing outrageous, but I do think that the details, some of the details are clearer. When I look over to that car, I think that is clearer than what I can recall on the basic PS5. I like looking at the letters of the car in front and of the dashboard inside the car. I think it does look clearer to me. I can still see some details popping in from a distance. I don't know if you can quite see that, but especially on some of the trees and some of the track furniture, it's popping in. You see some of these light posts popping in a little bit late. Nothing too distracting. I think the track detail in front of me doesn't look amazing. I'm just trying to see if I've got this exactly in the middle, which I have. I think the car detail looks really good. The detail of the track, I'm not sure I can tell too much difference. Just the numbers on the HUD in PS5 Pro do look sharper. It's slightly easier to read. Not that it was hard to read before. But it's definitely a slight step up. A noticeable step up, but nothing insane. And I've just dive bombed the crap out of that guy. Sorry about that, mate. So now that I'm back in the menu, does this look clearer? To me, this does actually look clearer. The menu does look clearer. Okay, right. What are our thoughts? Should you buy this thing? Is it good enough? Is it a waste of money? So in terms of Gran Turismo 7, better frame rate, it looks better, it runs smoother, loading times are quicker, VR is slightly better. All of those things are just slight improvements. I don't think it's genuinely game-changing. It's just a slight improvement on all fronts, but nothing crazy. So based on that, I don't think it warrants just buying a PS5 Pro if you already have a PS5. I think the right thing to do here is to wait for the enhanced update and see how that improves the game, because I think that is going to make much more of a jump. And on the note of who should buy this PS5 Pro console, I'd say that if you already have a PS5, it probably isn't worth forking out $700, £700 for this console. You know, I did it because it's my job to play Gran Turismo most of the time, so it made sense. You know, if you're just casually playing Gran Turismo and you want a bit of an upgrade, I wouldn't say it's necessarily worth it. So if you already have a PS5, I would say that it probably isn't worth it to buy the PS5 Pro. I wouldn't say there's enough of an improvement to warrant how expensive it is. But perhaps if you don't have a PS5 and you want to jump in and you want to have a console, then, you know, if you can afford it and you don't mind not having disc tray, then the PS5 Pro could be a good way to go. Having said that, a PS5 would also be just fine. I kind of touched upon it earlier, but the lack of the disc tray is a little bit annoying. You can see here I bought Tekken 8 on disc, and when I try to go to my collection and load it, obviously I can't because I bought the wrong version of the game. That's a little bit annoying that I can't now play this game at all. I can't even play the digital version of it. I'd have to buy it again. But what I would say I do like is the 2TB hard drive. So, you know, putting all these games onto this console is actually pretty good. You know, there's lots of space available. So even though this console is super expensive, I bought it for £700. I'm still happy that I've got the sort of the premium experience of playing PlayStation games, which is good. And perhaps when GTA 6 comes out, and if I do end up playing it on PlayStation, I know that I'm in the best place to have the best experience on that kind of game. Now, a massive game like that, it probably would help to have the Pro console. But as ever, let me know your thoughts and get any comments in, any questions you may have. I will try to answer them below. Get yourself subscribed and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.